So what is up everyone? Today I want to share with you my review of the Jupiter 9 85mm f2. Stay tuned. The Jupiter 9 85mm f2 is a Russian prime lens that is a replica of the Carl Zeiss Sonar f2 85mm. Manufactured in different common lens mounts, it is still highly appreciated by portraiture photographers nowadays. The Jupiter 9 is available at the fraction of the price of the original Carl Zeiss Sonar it is based on. The Jupiter 9 offers good build quality, a very soft focus and excellent bokeh and out of focus rendition. So the pros are excellent build quality, so it feels really solid. It is a great value for the money. It is a really nice and good portraiture lens, and it renders with really nice colors. I obtained my copy of the Jupiter 9 in the Leica M39 mount, and I purchased it over eBay. It was something like 50 euros and it is in perfect condition for its age. My version is from 1959. You can look this up by looking at the digits on your lens. The first two are the year of the in which the lens was produced. The lens is really well manufactured. The Zeiss design makes itself very noticeable when you use it. I have a pretty early version of this lens, and the metal constructions with its neat markings and silver finish feels a lot like a vintage Zeiss lens. The ergonomics are well balanced and the lens is a lot of fun to use. Although it is made out of metal and not the compact it is, not too heavy. A nice example of vintage lens manufacturing quality. The image output has a lot of character, but its characteristics might not be for everyone. The lens is a typical, as we call it in Germany, a Weichzeichner. So it has a soft, it's a soft focus portraiture lens. For its age at f2, it is decently fast. The focusing is a bit challenging due to the shallow depth of field. If you want a bokeh with a vintage look, soft focusing and a creamy, distinctive image, the Jupiter 9 is the lens for you. The Jupiter 9 requires a bit of work. It is not the easiest lens to use. The focusing is long and the aperture settings are clickless. Hence you do not receive a lot of feedback from this lens. This will require you to carefully plan your shots, especially since the Jupiter 9 is very sensible to different lighting conditions. The lens is as close as you'll get to the real vintage experience, even on a digital camera. If you are willing to put a bit of time and effort into your shots, the results will be very rewarding. Now to the cons of this lens. There are 4 main points. The first one is if you shoot it wide open, it is really soft. The second is the low level of contrast which this lens produces. The third is that in bad lighting conditions it flares a lot. And the last one might be for you the minimum focusing distance. The main advantage of the Jupiter 9, the image softness, is also its main disadvantage. If the lens is not stopped down, correct focusing is a challenge even for digital cameras with an AV confirm adapter. Another drawback is the clear lack of contrast. Images turn out rather milky and soft, which can be counterbalanced during post-processing. In my opinion, the Jupiter 9 is a better lens when shoot with a film camera than on digital. Analog film copes better with the softness and lack of contrast of this lens. Next to being soft, the lens can also be surprisingly sharp when stopped down. You really need to know what look you are after and set the aperture accordingly. The lens is not that forgiving and will not help you finding the correct settings. This is not a point and shoot lens. The lens itself really starts to show its age. A minimum focusing distance of, in my case, 1.15 meters, or if you have older versions, 1.5 meters or even 1.8 meters, is not up to date. Most comparable 80mm lenses have a much shorter minimum focusing distance. Also, the lens coating is quite outdated and the lens is prone to lens flares. I recommend getting a lens shade. Now to the different versions of the Jupiter 9. As I've already told you, the Jupiter 9 f2 85mm is a Russian clone of the Carl Zeiss Sonar 85mm f2 lens. After the Second World War, Germany had to pay reparations to the Soviet Union. Part of this reparations came from manufactured goods and patents. The Jupiter 9 is a direct copy of the Carl Zeiss Sonar lens. The early versions of the Jupiter 9 were manufactured using original Carl Zeiss glass elements. During its production run, the Jupiter 9 was often slightly modified and a whole range of different lens types exists. Early versions of the Jupiter 9 lens were manufactured with a silver finish, while later models have a black finish. The lens was manufactured in Contax rangefinder mount for the Russian Kiev rangefinder cameras, in Leica M39 mount for the Russian Sorky cameras, and in M42 mount. Mine is the M39 Leica mount. Early models of the lens are labeled 8.5 centimeters, which mine has, while later models have the modern 85mm markings. So now to the hard facts of this camera. It is an 85mm f2. It was produced in the following three lens mounts: M42, Leica M39 and Contax RF. The weight of it is 311 grams. the minimum focusing distance is 1 meter and 15 centimeters. For the later models and for the really early ones it's 1.8 meters. It has a filter thread mount of 49 millimeters. It was made in the Soviet Union. The aperture goes from f2 to f22. It exists out of 7 elements in 3 groups, and it has 15 aperture plates. So how do I use this lens? I use it on my analog cameras. I use it with my Sawkey 1, 2 and 3, as well with my Leica 2 and Leica M3, and most of the times I use it with my Sony A7. So I use it analog and digital as well.